This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I'm gonna give it just a few more moments. Looks like we have a few more people joining us, so just gonna wait. Thanks for joining us, Robin.
Hello. I have a bigger screen over here, so I may move around a little bit. I can't tell with GoToMeeting if you're looking at me or not.
We are not right now. It doesn't look like your camera is on, but you certainly
Okay.
don't have to have your camera on if you don't want it on.
Okay. Here came the notice about the camera.
Yep, yeah, it takes a second for that to pop on.
Okay.
That's totally up to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And if anyone does have something specific that they want us to stop and chat a little bit more about while we're going through this, please feel free to either put something in the chat or just let us know, and we'll certainly answer those questions for you as we go along here. So it is a little bit after the top of the hour for 7, so we will get started here. So introduce myself again here for the people that have joined since last. I'm Tony. I work on our community outreach and education team here at DePaco Community Credit Union. And I am joined by Sloan, and I will let her introduce herself here in just a few moments. Tonight's topic is crucial money lessons. It's never too late to learn. So kind of a fun topic. We're going to really kind of hit on budgeting. You know, living paycheck to paycheck is something that we at DePaco love to try to get people to kind of live beyond that and really be able to live financially free. So this is a great way to kind of boost your financial IQ a little bit and learn some good, valuable money lessons. So Sloan, if you kind of want to take off here, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Tony. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great evening so far. But like you said, I'm Sloan Elberhosky. I'm on the Community Outreach and Education team with Tony here at DePaco. And first of all, we're just super excited, not only that you hopped on tonight, but we're also really excited to talk about this topic. I think really the inspiration for this webinar tonight is that because we're on the community outreach team, we're always out and about in the community, and we're always working with individuals and with groups. We always introduce a lot of resources, but one thing that we hear quite a bit when we're talking either about specific resources that we offer or specific topics is that people say, gosh, I wish I would have learned XYZ when I was younger or when I was in school. I wish I would have learned this earlier. And I think that that's something that a lot of us can relate to, right? Because I think back to when I was in school, and really the only lesson I can remember reviewing when I was in high school was how to write a check. And not that checks are obsolete, but really that's the only lesson I remember learning about. We didn't really talk so much about taxes or budgeting or saving, and obviously that kind of depends on your school or what your home situation was, if your family talked about that stuff a lot. But I think for a lot of us, there are a lot of lessons that we wish we would have learned earlier, but we instead learned through experience. Or maybe we're still learning through experience and still kind of taking hold of some of these concepts. And so our inspiration was tonight just to really go over some of those basic money lessons that we feel are so crucial to know or so crucial to learn and take hold of, no matter what age or stage of life you're at. And so today, that's what we're going to go ahead and dive in and talk about. And when we were preparing for this, we talked a lot about the different areas of finances that we really think are important. But what it all boiled down to were two things. We think that everything really boiled down to successful budgeting, but also saving and having a savings goal. We truly felt that in talking about all of the different financial topics, whether that be credit, saving for retirement, investing, etc., it really boiled down to successful budgeting and saving. And so those are the two things that we really want to talk about tonight, because we feel like if you have a great handle on those two things, it's going to set you up for success in so many other financial areas that you're going to be able to take hold of those concepts as well. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this. And we're actually going to start off talking about budgeting tonight. Budgeting is something that our team in particular, but also people at DePaco in general, help our members and people in the community with so often. And our website has some really great resources. So if you go out to depaco.com, you can go to this budgeting and saving page. It has great information on best practices, but also there are great budgeting templates as well. And so what we want to do is actually pull up one of the budgeting templates today that we use quite often whenever we're doing a money makeover or helping people establish a budget for the first time or even reevaluate their existing budget. This is a template that we use quite a bit. So Tony's going to pull this up and we're going to kind of dive into it just a little bit more. And throughout this presentation, please feel free, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop those in the chat. We'll be happy to answer those as we go through, but also we'll make sure that we save time at the end to answer questions as well. So just wanted to throw that in there. But you can see on the screen here, this is an Excel doc. It looks like there's a lot of information here, but don't worry, we're going to break it down for you. This is actually one of the budgeting templates that we have at Dupaco that we, like I said, use quite a bit. And what I love about this template is that it is so comprehensive. And even if you're looking at this template and you're seeing line items that maybe don't pertain to you right now, these are typical line items that you might see at some point in your life. So we love to include this because it really gets people thinking, you know, are there areas of my budget that I honestly just haven't considered before, and maybe that's what's throwing off my finances? You know, am I budgeting appropriately for things that may come up? Has my life changed and therefore my budget changed? Where before when I did establish my budget, I didn't necessarily need to put aside money for a certain item, but now I do. And so this is so comprehensive that it really starts to address areas that you might encounter throughout your life that you need to budget for. And so when we talk about budgeting, it definitely goes way beyond just looking at your income, what you're taking in every single month, and then what those basic bills that you have. So it's more than just, okay, I have my income, I'm going to pay my rent and my utilities and my car payment, and then I just have money for other things and I'm good. It's really paying attention to where all of your dollars are going and making sure that every dollar that you have coming in for income has a purpose. So even if you're mindful about your spending, this just takes it a step further and it allows you to truly lay out how your money is coming in and the areas that it's going out. So this really helps you to identify, you know, how much you truly are spending on food every month, you know, how much you actually are spending in transportation and gas. You know, what's the flow of your income? Where are areas that maybe you're spending more on that you could actually cut back if there are areas that you're not able to set aside money for? So this starts to really outline some of those different areas for you. I think that a lot of times people overlook some key things. First and foremost, if you're just starting to be mindful of your spending and you're not actually tracking your food, I think that food is something that we see is very tricky for people quite often. They don't realize not only how much they're spending on groceries per month, but also they don't realize how much they're spending on actually eating out per month. And eating out definitely adds up, especially if multiple people in your house are eating out at the same time. So you really want to pay attention to that. Another one that I think people get tripped up on a lot are when you talk about entertainment or video rentals. And I know this seems kind of aged because not a lot of people rent videos anymore. But also what should be bundled into this are, what are you paying for your streaming services? I think that that's something that definitely gets overlooked. How much are you paying for Netflix? How much are you paying, you know, for Disney Plus or any of those different things? That should be bundled into your monthly budget as well. So you truly want to go through in all of these different categories and see, do I have an expense that falls into this? And the easiest way for you to do this, because this can feel overwhelming to do without some type of clear plan or something to really show you what you're spending. If you're looking to set up a budget, I would go ahead and pull at least 3 months worth of your bank records and have that in front of you. Know what you're taking in every single month, and then look through your bank records and see, okay, what are the line items that are showing up for my transactions? How much did I truly spend going out to eat last month? How much did we spend in clothing? Did we have an unexpected vet bill that came up that kind of took into our expenses? Look at least the last 3 to 4 months and truly see where you're putting this out. And I will say that Dupaco does make this pretty easy. If you utilize Dupaco and you go into Shine Online Banking, you can actually log in. You can go to Reports at the top, and then there's a little selection called Categories. And Shine has a cool feature where it'll look at your transactions and it'll try to categorize for you, how much you're spending in transportation or food, etc. And so that's a great starting point as well. But you really want to start to look at where your money's coming in and where it's going out. And I see that Leslie typed into the chat. She said, we share our streaming services to save money on them. We pay for Disney Plus, my brother pays for YouTube TV, and my best friend pays for Netflix, but we all get to enjoy them. I'm so glad that you shared that. I think that that's a great thing to do as well. If you're able to kind of go in with somebody else and share the costs in some of those, that's an excellent way to save money and to get the most out of your dollars. So if you do have the opportunity to do that, I think that that would be an excellent way to try to stretch your budget and make your money go further. So in looking at this budget, obviously it's very comprehensive. There are a couple of things that you want to keep in mind when you do a budget. First and foremost, it's important to remember that your budget is never static, meaning that whatever you set for a budget is not going to stay the same forever. It can and it will change, and sometimes it can change quite often depending on the stage you're at in life. So for example, if you moved and you're now in a different area, maybe groceries are more expensive where you're now living. Maybe your rent changed. Maybe your taxes changed. I know I have a friend who her husband is in the Navy and they were living in Virginia and they recently moved to Hawaii because that's where he's now stationed. And she talked about having to redo a lot of her budget because groceries are so expensive where she lives now because a lot of things have to be flown in because they're on an island. So there's a lot of different things. Basically, if your life is changing, probably so is your budget. So you want to keep in mind that you may have to reevaluate your budget every month or two. And I know I keep a monthly to-do list for myself and I keep a weekly to-do list, and reevaluating my budget is always on my monthly to-do list. I want to make sure that things are staying consistent. Did I spend more on utilities this month? Has my grocery bill changed over time? So you want to make sure that you're constantly reevaluating and never assume that things are always going to stay the same. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind that you're going to have to relook at it and make sure things are adding up. Numbers can also change according to the seasons as well. And a lot of times with your budget, some stuff can be exact amounts, but sometimes you're going to have to estimate that too. For utilities, for example, you might be budgeting in the average amount that you're spending over a 6-month or a yearly period, or the average that you're spending per month. But for example, when we live in the Midwest, you're probably spending way more on utilities in the winter than you are in the spring or in the fall, where maybe you're able to have the windows open more and you're not depending on your utilities to kind of keep your house at a comfortable temperature. So you want to make sure that through the seasons, you're reevaluating your budget as well and making sure that you're kind of staying on top of that. Tony, I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add kind of into this template as we're talking about this, or any points you want to make.
I think you made some fantastic points. The only thing that I would maybe mention would be looking into, when you're doing this budget, make sure you're going off of your base income. So if you do have commission or something along those lines, make sure that when you look at it, you're going off that base, and then you can always add that in at a later point, or you can put that towards some savings goals. But I do get that question a lot with the budget, just to make sure that you look at the base and then you can kind of figure out from there. So that's just
one thing I will say. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that that's a really good point, and it reminded me of something that I wanted to bring up as well. And this can be hard. I know that obviously we're kind of talking about some simple math here, but budgeting can be very hard. And one thing that's really important to keep in mind is that you need to be as honest as possible with yourself when you're putting together your budget. When you're putting together a budget, you don't want to sit down and put the ideal amount. I mean, you can certainly have an ideal budget that you put together, but when you're truly trying to work out where exactly your money is going, you want to be honest about what you actually are typically spending on going out, how much you truly are spending on food, what are you spending on shopping, how much is truly going into your utilities or your streaming services, etc. The more honest you are, the more clearly you're going to be able to see where exactly that money is going. But sometimes we'll sit down with individuals where they'll say, well, actually, I think I only spend about 100 going out to eat. When in reality, it's so much more. And not saying that, again, that you can't have that idealized budget of where you want it to be, but when you're actually sitting down, you want to make sure that you're as honest as possible to truly see where your money is going so that you can make changes or adjust accordingly. And we know at DPACO, this can be really vulnerable, right? It can be especially hard to put together a budget and be honest if you're not super happy about how your money is sitting at the end of the month after all of your expenses. It can be hard if you've gone through a life change. I know 2020, we saw a lot of unemployment, a lot of job changes. Maybe your salary got cut or your hours got cut, and that obviously affects your budget. And so budgeting can be very vulnerable. It can be hard to go through. And we're never going to sit here and say that we don't understand how hard this can be, because we know that even though this is simple math, it's still so, so hard. And so at DPACO, because we know the importance of this and we know how hard it can be, we're always willing to sit down with you and go through a budgeting worksheet. This is never something that we want you to feel like you have to take on by yourself and you're never going to have somebody there to walk you through it or help you with it. And that's part of what we do through Money Makeovers specifically. And I know that we talked about this a little bit last week on our webinar, then. But if you want to come in and ever go through and just create a clearer financial picture, we do something called a Money Makeover. It's totally free. You can create an appointment with somebody at DPACO or even reach out to Tony and myself. But when we do that, we sit down. If you haven't put together a budgeting worksheet prior, we can help you do that. We can pull credit if we want to, but really it's just looking at your situation and talking about where we're at now and where are the areas for improvement so we can get to where we want to be, and so that you feel as financially successful and confident and secure as you can. So even though this can feel a little overwhelming and vulnerable, please know that there are resources there, and DPACO is always willing to help. But the main takeaway from this in regards to our topic tonight is really, if you are able to successfully budget and to truly give your dollars a purpose, typically also that really sets you up for being able to save as well. If you're able to kind of cut your spending and really focus in on that budget, typically you're able to set aside a little bit to start saving and really build up towards that savings goal. And so I'm actually going to transition it over to Tony at this point, because he's going to talk a little bit more about the importance of saving, but also how you can set a particular savings goal through DPACO. So Tony, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Sloan. Appreciate that. So yeah, this is something fun. If you're a DPACO member, I guess I find it fun because I work in the financial world, but this is all about kind of savings goals. So you've really hammered out that budget, and at DPACO, we think it's really important to pay yourself first. That's where you'll start to find that financial freedom, when you're able to start saving for specific things that are important to you, whether that be holiday season or a specific vacation that you're wanting to go on, or maybe that shiny new car you're looking for. Whatever trips your trigger, these savings goals are there to help you. So this is screenshots from our website through DPACO. So if you are a member, I'm sure used our Shine online banking. So this is just a test account that we have. And there's a few different ways here. There's this arrow that you see with right next to the plus sign. And then there's also the savings goals down here where the bottom arrow is at. So this is create a new savings goal. So this is the area where if you have something that you're looking to save for, we help you make that goal happen. So the first step is to name the savings goal. So we'll go down here to the next page, and so we're creating that. What is it? We find that it's a lot better if you name that savings goal so you can really have that item that you're looking forward to. So this is an example. A person wants a really nice Trek bike, evidently, because it's a $4,000 bicycle. I don't bike, so I don't know what they cost, but I'm guessing that must be a really nice one. So this person is looking for this Trek bike. So they want the $4,000, and this is a little older example as far as dates, but let's say it's a year out that they're looking to do this. So they put let's say that you can put down February 11th of 2022 as your end date for this. So I love over here on the side under my savings goal summary, it shows what the name is, what the amount is, and when you want it by. And then it breaks it down how much you need to save. So are you going to save that weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly? And it shows depending on how you get paid, we typically like to set it up on paydays. You know, we can have that money come out specifically on paydays for you. So this is just kind of getting that goal ready and set in your mind of what exactly you're looking to do. So after that, you can kind of decide if you want to create a brand new account for that or use an existing account. So that's a pretty easy step. And then the next one is a really cool one that I was kind of mentioning earlier, is kind of funding that account. So you can put some money in there and then figuring out exactly how you want that money to come out. So in this example, it's selecting per week. So they're going to do $39.61 per week, and they have that first transfer date. So like I mentioned, we do like to get that typically set up on pay dates. That way it's coming out right when you get paid. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's automatic. You don't have to think about it, and you won't miss the money. You know, if you have that money in your checking account and you're saving for something in checking, that money's probably going to get used for something else. It just happens. It's easy to spend money when it's in checking. But if you're able to pull that out and put it in a special goal, it really makes a difference. It really helps a lot. So at this point, you've kind of selected how exactly you want to make that automatic transfer. And then you can come in here and look at the goal. So like this one is an example of somebody who already has a goal set up for a truck, and they have a balance already of $510 in there, and they're looking to get $1,200. So this is a visual for you. And I love how it shows up separately. So, you know, with a DePaco account, you're going to have your checking and your normal savings, and then your loan accounts, as it shows here, a couple credit cards, and then the savings goal is something completely separate. So it really makes it an exciting process for you to go through. Then if you keep going here, the neat thing is it will also give you a progress bar. So if you actually click on the item, it shows you where you're at in progression with this. So, you know, in this example, they're trying to save up $10 for a vacation. I'm not sure what kind of vacation you're going to get for that, but at this point they have 50% saved. So you're really able to see that progress and make it an exciting commitment to yourself. And then the best part is we actually communicate this to you as you're going through. So we say, hey, that's awesome, you were able to set up a savings goal. And then we go through different things like, hey, you're at 50%, congratulations, or you've made it, we throw you some confetti, you've got that money saved. So I guess what I'm trying to get out of this is, when you are saving, it's really great to have a goal for what you're saving for, and then make sure that you're proud of what you're doing. You know, it's awesome to be able to do that. So that's just kind of how DePaco does it. I'm sure other financials offer their own ways of doing it, but just to kind of give you an inside scoop of what we offer. So to go along with our savings goals, we did also kind of want to chat a little bit about our thank yous program that we offer at DePaco. And this as well has a lot of neat information on exactly how we offer rewards to our members and really promote savings within the credit union. So Sloan, would you be interested in kind of going over some of the different categories that we have here?
Yes, so first, if you're not taking advantage of thank yous and you're a DePaco member, please look into it. This is such a great member give back program. Really the goal of this is, because we're a nonprofit financial, all of the profits that DePaco generates have to go back into the organization and essentially back to the members. And so this is something that's very unique to DePaco, but this is one of the ways in which we give value back to our members. And really, we're giving value back for you utilizing everyday services through DePaco that you most likely would have used anyways. And so we have all of these different categories listed out here. And if you're ever interested in looking into any of these a little bit further, you can see some of this through online banking, but also through our DePaco website, so take a look. But we have all these different categories, and some of them are so simple. For example, every time that you're going to swipe your money card or your credit card, you get 5 cents back. And that includes using those cards in an online purchase as well. I mean, that sounds like a little bit of money, but it adds up so quickly, especially when you take into account the months that you're going to have to earn through thank yous. So that's one way. We do also like to encourage saving. So if saving is something that you've been wanting to get better at and you just kind of haven't gone for it yet, or you've been kind of slowly building up to it, we do have the category where we encourage you, and we actually give you money back for meeting certain savings balances or goals. So for example, the $1,000 to almost $5,000, you're going to get $20 back. And so the more you save, the more money you'll get back. And then there's also different things as well, like protection. These are things that, maybe you haven't looked into before, but are so good to take hold of because it's in the end, it's going to protect you and benefit you. So, setting up two-step verification, taking a protection quiz, just verifying your phone and your email, that's going to get you money back in the protection category. So you can see that we have all of these different areas here for thank yous. And again, the purpose of this is to give value back to our members. And I think last year, the average member got around $70 in thank yous. Granted, it depends on the services that you're utilizing, and some members definitely earned more than that. But when we're talking about budgeting and saving, that's a lot of money back for stuff you would have already done in the first place. And that's extra money that you can get back to put into your budget or to put into those savings goals. So it's truly a win-win situation. So if you haven't looked into thank yous yet, please do. And that's just important to think about anyways. If you're a part of multiple financials or multiple credit unions, look into the member give back programs that they have and how are you getting value back and how can that benefit you moving forward. So this is one way we like to give value back to our members. We absolutely love thank yous. And if you have any questions on the thank yous program, if you've been a member or if you're a new member and you just haven't looked into it, let us know because we would love to talk to you about thank yous and what it can do for you. But I think that was pretty much everything that we had. We kind of talked about the importance of budgeting and saving again. And like we said at the beginning of the presentation, we have pretty much all of these resources out there on our website. I absolutely love our website, and it's probably the resource that I plug the most when I'm out on visits because our website is so comprehensive. There's so many different resources and pieces of information. So please take a look if you haven't been out to our website yet. But we hope that this helps you to kind of take hold of some of those really crucial money lessons that hopefully you learned early on. But if not, we hope that these are, great lessons for you to take hold of now so that you can be more successful moving forward into the future. And I don't see any questions. I see a lot of love for thank yous in the comments. But if you have any questions, we're more than happy to stick around for the last few minutes of the webinar. Otherwise, please look out for our last 2 webinars of the month. We'll be here for the next 2 weeks. So look for us on Thursday nights at 7. But thank you for being here and having me and Tony join you tonight.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I would certainly say the information we provided tonight is a very general idea of what we can provide. In a half-hour setting like this, we're really not able to get into specifics for a person's situation. So that's where we kind of dive into those, as Sloan had mentioned earlier, our money makeovers. And that's not something you don't need to be a DePaco member. I know we've talked a lot about DePaco products and services this evening, but that's something we'll do for anyone. We'll just sit down with you and try to kind of help you figure out where your situation is, whatever that life stage is that you're trying to get through, and we'll be there for you, member or non-member. So I just, along with Sloan, wanted to thank everyone for joining this evening. We'll stay on for a few more minutes here if anyone does have any questions or just wanted to connect.
Thanks for all the info.
Do you ever offer strategies to people about